The only thing I ever needed to know about animals I learned from the butcher shop, and that is always charge more for the best tasting marbled pieces. We have begun pumping the serum into the zombies' corpses. They should come to life in 40 minutes. They are defrigerating now, and they are no longer in the ice maker. This is what we shall do. Bring the dead back to life. A new era of science and technology. Auf Wiedersehen. It would be nice if at some point in the near future, elected officials would remember one singular point, and that is they represent their constituents, the voters, not private interests. I'm so glad that plants do not require sunlight, like it says in the book of Genesis. It is not a difficult concept to form relationships with the pagan deities or whatever pantheon you want to work with. It's not hard at all. Expect an entity or deity to help you out of the blue. Like, are you going to walk up to a random stranger and say, hey, do this for me? Most likely not. Some of you have never played Vampire the Masquerade, and it really, really shows. Sorry to you D&D folk, but the Masquerade is for me. How many demons does it take to screw in a light bulb? I keep asking because they keep blowing them through the house, and it's driving me absolutely, Good question is, how many angels fit on the tip of a pen? Comment below. I'm really curious what your responses will be. There is an answer. As you can imagine, I have a lot of books. Hundreds of them. People are like, they have to-be-read piles. Well, I have to-be-read bookcases. Jenny will fit into a lamp. How many? That's another question I have. How many Jen or Jenny or Genie will fit into a lamp? That is the question. People insulting me by calling me woke is quite a compliment. When the Buddha was under the Bodhi tree and they asked him, what happened? He said, I have awakened. So you all are wondering how much luck I have as a person? The answer is as much as a leprechaun that hoards silver. Absolutely none. Have you ever seen the light? Because I have seen the light, and it's right behind me. There. Why does nobody acknowledge how the pantheons, majority of them function like crime families? Yeah, like the Zeus Syndicate. Have you ever seen the light? Because I have seen the light, and it's right behind me. There. So you all are wondering how much luck I have as a person? The answer is as much as a leprechaun that hoards silver. Absolutely none. Whenever something or somebody or an advertisement says, test your luck, I'm always, yeah, I'm good. People insulting me by calling me woke is quite a compliment. When the Buddha was under the Bodhi tree and they asked him, what happened? He said, I have awakened. A question for Christians. How do you question for Christians. How do you propose that a war god of the Middle East, whom you pray to, will bring peace? That's the question. The concept I'm thinking of is the Middle Eastern war god, Yahweh, will bring peace, but only through conquest. What do you think? Question for Christians. How do you propose that a war god of the Middle East, whom you pray to, will bring peace? That's the question. God is outside my window. Look. Help. Help. The angels speak to me all the time. Problem is, I don't speak their language. I used to be friends with the funeral director. We got to talking about our love lives. He said he's never had any complaints. I said, well, they have to be alive to complain. We don't talk anymore. Do you feel alone in your life? Unfulfilled? Wish you had something that wanted you for you? May I suggest bed bugs? They will cuddle you at night and they're guaranteed to want you for you. This has been my TED Talk.
This is Bob. Bob minds his own business. We should all be like Bob. Follow for more.
So I reached a spiritual dead end. I felt like St. John of the Cross, Dark Night of the Soul kind of thing. But recently I've discovered a new meditation that focuses entirely on that which is not thoughts, emotions, feelings, external influences. I came to this weird kind of thing. Initially, we're all just a bleep of consciousness, which is pretty evident. But the thing is, our personalities and all these other things through our lives are like mud and crud that build up over this small light of consciousness. So the trick I've been working on is breaking down these crusty life experiences and such. Not necessarily a good word, but breaking down each and every one. And the memories are flooding back. Have a great day. And remember, just remember whatever it was. It's difficult for me to fathom at this point in my life that growing up, I believed that God and his son were playing a celestial version of Parcheesi or checkers. As I've gotten older, I'm like, wow, that makes very little sense. Remember, most Christians don't care what Christ said. They care what their church leaders, the lobbyists, the corporations, and the far-right politicians have to say. Jesus be damned. What is the fixation that some witches have with things like unicorns, which are horrible creatures? The pointy horn, they're freaking horrible. And fairies, and they're not so nice either. I'm just curious. I'm pretty sure in the next few weeks and months, we are all going to be noticing an increase in the Mandela effect as the Matrix recalibrates for mankind's mistakes. It is what it is, eh? These last couple of years have made me really regret living at the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. Oh, there goes Bigfoot. It snowed last night. 6 inches. That is all. I do not know if this is stylish or not, or if it's a bit extra. If a tree falls in the woods and nobody's around to hear it, does it still make a noise? Well, I've been called a nobody. Ergo, I can say it does in fact make a noise. It may come as a surprise, but I am a hoot at parties. I was asked, what came first, the chicken or the egg? My response was, the single-celled organism. You haven't been invited to any more. You mentioned it and I had to get it. It is what it is. The List of 7 by Mark Frost. So when I was a kid in the creek, there was a floating possum. I walked up to it and poked it with a stick and it went blah, blah, blah. And the unfortunate part was I was the one standing downstream of it. So I was dating a guy and he said, I love you. And I'm like, well, that is wonderful. But you say love and I love you every day, 100 times a day. You love tacos. So do you love me like tacos? Do you love me like your dog, which you say I love you to 47 times each and every day? Do you love me like you do the weather? Don't mind me if I question your sincerity. Have you ever been inspired just by walking through downtown after a rain and seeing the light reflect like a million realities in each puddle? If God is love, and we are made in the image of God, then we are love. Have you ever just stopped and thought, Wow, this tree and I both exist at the same time. That's pretty cool. Putin is not insane. He isn't mad. Everything he's doing is very tactical. You know, when you think somebody's a little off their rockers, it's quite a bit more difficult to counter the moves they make. Juiced Merlot, he's a writer. He wrote about brainwashing in different kinds of totalitarian regimes and states. Um, he mentions this. So, yeah, you can't counter strategically someone who's mad.